call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We seem to be missing an attendance taker, so I will step up. Darcy.
Here.
Nikki Miller, absent. Danny.
Here.
Paige.
Here.
Brandon.
Here.
Eric Morgan. He's coming. Okay, absent. And Wade Welper is here. Adjustments to the agenda. We'll be adding two things to the consent agenda for resignation. Another one for staff employment, and we'll be having an action item at the end with CTLA, which I'm understanding is a curriculum that we'll be going over tonight as well and voting on. We're voting on it tonight. Was put on here just so we can get the jump on it and start moving. And we'll talk more about that as we get to it.
Move to approve the agenda adjustments. Second.
Darcy moved to approve, seconded by Danny Martell. Any questions on approving the agenda adjustments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Any announcements? I don't think we do. All right. Any community input? Anyone? Community? Okay, no community input. Student board member report. Simona?
Yes.
Yeah, got it. You go ahead. The floor is yours.
So this past month has been pretty busy in the school and the students, and it's only going to get busier from here. So this past weekend we had 18 new members inducted into National Honor Society. We had a little ceremony for that. And then the sophomores and the juniors took the MCAs this week. There was also a pet fest on Monday for the spring sports, and there's two field trips. The first one was today. It was a healthcare field trip to UWL, and then tomorrow the students in environmental are going to Peerless in Winona. And then for upcoming events, we have a lot of service opportunities for our students coming up. In SCCLA, we're planning a ditch cleanup, our annual ditch cleanup, to clean the ditches around the school. Student council, we are planning something to help the janitors with some yard work. And then for Rotary, we're helping with Neighbors Day, which is on Saturday. And also on Saturday is prom, so everybody's really excited. The junior class officers have been so busy planning prom and dress-up days, and yeah. And then for senior class officers, we have been finalizing the graduation details, like countdowns, superlatives, and all the little ceremony things. And then my last thing is upcoming, we have the ACT and the job shadows. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you much for your time. Again, if you sneak out, we won't judge you. Right. Board member reports. Darcy.
Well, just earlier this week on Monday, we had district-wide staff development and oversight, and they are working so hard. The amount of work that goes into planning of the teacher in-service days is insane, and the back-to-school days is a lot. And oversight, still just working on curricular alignment.
Okay. Danny.
Activities met a couple weeks ago. Talked through dance team. That's not necessarily on the table for school, but perhaps a club. So we talked through that a bit, and then also girls wrestling becoming official. It's unofficially right now, but actually breaking it out into its own
Separate
section.
entity. Like its own team type thing?
Yep.
Okay, its own coaches?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I did not have anything.
Brandon.
Just had a good meet and confer report. Or meet and confer with the union. It was very nice.
Okay. Mr. Morgan.
Nothing to report.
Okay. I do not have anything as well. Staff showcase. Elementary ELA committee representatives.
So, Board, what you're about to hear is the process, really almost a year-long process that a number of our elementary staff have undergone, looking at best practices, looking at different instructional materials, looking at where we could get to a spot with a cohesive K-4 ELA, and they are going to walk you through that process tonight.
Floor is yours.
All right, well, thanks for letting us come and present to you. We're here to, again, tell you about our process. At the elementary school, we have spent countless hours volunteering our time to do this work because we feel it's so important that we look at the new ELA curriculum K-4. It's been teacher-led along with our literacy lead. And our goal was to ensure that we have a curriculum that truly supports strong reading, writing, and thinking for every student. Every elementary teacher has gone through the letters training, which has taught us more about the science of reading, and we really realized that the curriculum that we have is not aligned and is not a good resource. So we worked together to figure out how can we find a new curriculum. So we began this work really to fill in that curriculum gap, and it's been really nice to have a group. We have a representation from every grade level and from special education, from administration, and we've been able to look at different sources. So my comrades here will share more about the process.
So like Sarah mentioned, we had representation from every grade level, along with SPED, and we had our building principal, Mr. Kopp, and we met about 10 times from November up until just recently. We made sure that all staff members had the ability to participate if they wanted to, and have their voice heard in this process. We were really collaborative. We talked with our team members a lot. Those of us who were part of the group went back to our team and shared with them constantly. So in our 10 meetings, we started by really focusing on what our vision was in the long run. We looked at some data. We talked about our letters training and how that was going to shift how our instruction is going to look. Then 3 and 4, we really started looking at specific programs. We dove deep into the ed reports on those, looked at all their different data points. And then we moved on to how it would align with our MTSS framework and all the skills that we need to make sure our students are hitting. After that, we had a few meetings where we got to go talk with schools who currently have CKLA in place. A few of us got to go visit the actual schools. We also had some Zoom meetings, and we got to look at a few different curriculums doing that. And then after that, we kind of voted and figured out which one was the winner.
All right, so after we did all of our research and we visited schools and we did all of the background stuff, we came back together and we talked through all of the different parts on what we were really looking at. Then we each voted individually, and we all voted unanimously for CKLA by Amplify. It was the top choice after discussing all of the different parameters, including the materials, the standard alignment, and the usability by both teachers and students alike. There were no split votes, and we all voted privately, so this wasn't something that we, I tell my kids, don't vote just because your best friend voted. It was private on Google Forms, so we didn't know what everybody else was voting for, and all of us voted for CKLA. So to make this decision before we voted, we also went through an evaluation process with a rubric to go through each part step by step. So we discussed standard alignment for all grades K through 4. We talked about different ones in different grades that maybe weren't going to be touched by the various ones, and chose the one that overall was the best fitted. We talked about foundational skills, which is something that we feel is lacking as the kids move along in grades in the curriculum that we currently have. We talked about text quality and student engagement, writing expectations, because that's also something that our current curriculum does not offer a ton of support in. The PD support that we would receive from the company should we go with their curriculum, and overall alignment to the district's vision of getting these kiddos to exactly where they need to be. So again, we all scored independently, away from each other, and all decided that this was the one we think we should go with.
And because everybody needs to see the data, here's the data behind our decision. There were 3 programs that rose to the top: CKLA, Arts and Letters, and EL Education. They were all viewed through vendor presentations, communication with other schools, and samples provided to us. CKLA and Arts and Letters were by far the strongest, but CKLA ultimately stood out across all categories, as you continue to see. More with the data, here are FastBridge trends. This slide will show you early literacy data over time, specifically looking at student growth. One of the positives that you're going to see right now is that students entering kindergarten and grade 1 already have relatively strong foundational skills, which is great. However, as students move into grades 2, 3, and 4, that growth begins to slow, as you can see by the headline. So in 3rd grade is where we're starting to have students beginning to read learn, as opposed to learning to read. So we're looking for stronger vocabulary development, more intentional comprehension instruction, and better alignment across all grade levels. CKLA will help build knowledge systematically over time and support both foundational skills and needs.
What you're seeing here is the MCA reading kind of trends between comparing regular education and special education. So as far as our regular education in the blue, the proficiency isn't quite what we want. So as far as the numbers, in the special education, we're seeing sort of a downward trend there. What we want is a more comprehensive program in the area of special education, more phonemic awareness, better phonemic awareness, and phonological skills that are embedded throughout for special education. So this is why we're kind of targeting that area in this slide. One big thing is that special education will always receive the core curriculum in this program. That's what we're heading towards. What else? Yep,
So with all of this process, we again came to the decision that CKLA is the best curriculum for our building. And so after completing this whole process, we really feel like it's 100% in agreement amongst our staff and our committee that we'd like to move ahead with implementing, and our implementation timeline would look something like getting it, first of all, approved, and then moving very rapidly to start ordering. We would love to have materials in our hands before the end of the school year, so teachers can have the summertime to look at them and get ourselves prepared. We have taken a survey across our building, and there's a summer date that the majority of our staff could make for a launch PD. And so that's very exciting to be able to get PD ahead of the school year, and not just at back to school week when we're all crazy. And so the official launch would be like at the school year in August, but like I said, working with the company, hopefully we can manage a June PD, and then teams can have time to work together so that we can roll it out and have a great launch into the school year. And then moving into next school year, we already are looking at potential PD partway through the year. A check-in with the company is a possibility, but the really exciting thing with CKLA is that they have online on-demand PD. And so looking at our PLC time as a time that we can work in grade level teams with our special ed teachers as well, and our MTSS teachers, to be able to collaborate and figure out the best way to carry out this curriculum and put it into place. So our final recommendation is we would like to adopt CKLA from Amplify for grades K through 4. We are wanting to hopefully have board approval And again, what we said, it aligns to our district vision, it aligns to the committee's vision. It will give us great foundational skills. It fits right into our MTSS framework, which we worked on ahead of looking for this. It has teacher support from our whole building, and so we're asking for a final approval so that we can move ahead and have summer professional development and be able to work as a unified elementary staff to bring wonderful Tier 1 instruction to all of our K-4 students. Thanks for the time.
So during the, first of all, I just wanted to say it was a tremendous amount of work that the committee put in this school year. And when we get to that action part tonight, I will tell you my part in this as the recommendation comes through me, and then ultimately I talk to you about what my recommendation would be. So if that's okay, we'll wait till the action portion for me to further fill in the gaps.
That would be more than fine.
Okay, thank you.
Much appreciated for the empowered enthusiasm. Very well done. I'm kind of sold. I don't know. Anyway. All right. Administrative reports. Jacob, as always, your report.
Okay. As Simona mentioned, there's an awful lot going on right now. She even left out several things. So there's just a whole bunch. With the career experiences, we had the end of the month, the La Crosse Area Builders Association. They have their event, which is, I believe, the last Wednesday in April. So all of our students involved in the building and trades class, plus any others that want to sign up, go to that event. Then we have again, all the testing, job shadows, all that stuff. And then as we get into May, we get our senior class photo. They get the t-shirts, and they all, hopefully it's nice enough outside to be outside and get that class picture taken. And then we have the student award ceremony coming up in mid-May as well. And all that stuff is between now and our next board meeting. So there's an awful lot going on. One thing that, and Wade and I were kind of talking about this before the meeting, one thing that we are running into more and more is that students don't check email. So they're not necessarily aware of a lot of the things that are going on. It's just not a habit that they are in. It is something we frequently hear from universities and employers that this is a problem we run into with our straight out of high school or straight out of college graduates. They're trying to communicate, sometimes we're even trying to set up an interview, and they don't check their email.
Yeah. Terry and I recently talked about this too when trying to get rid of sports apps for our athletics department, because I would prefer the kids get used to checking email because I noticed that they didn't.
Yeah, and it's something we run into all the time. You know, we have a lot of, these great experiences for career and college readiness, and our numbers signing up are low because we're purposely trying to communicate through email. And we'll even put reminders on the TV, hey, check your email about this, and it just doesn't happen. So that's something we're trying to brainstorm. It's definitely not a part of the state standard, but it's something that we see as a need we're trying to address. But trying to figure out how is always the tricky piece. So the other big piece going on right now, outside of all of the events, is it's hiring season, which is always interesting. It's much more difficult at the high school level and kind of that later part of middle school due to licensure. A lot of the elementary licenses run up through 6th grade. So you have elementary license and you have elementary spec. And you, for the most part, 95% of your staff fits into one of those two. As you get to 7th grade, it kind of branches out into all of the content areas. So if I was to look at our high school staff, and let's say there were 30 teachers, there are probably about 18 different licensures out of those 30 teachers. So it gets really difficult to start to fill some of those roles. But we do the best we can. If you check the website, you notice there's a lot of postings. A lot of those are actually for what were called Tier 1 teachers or out-of-field placement teachers. So they're people who are fully licensed teachers, but they are, I guess, for lack of a better word, under-licensed. So they might be someone who's licensed in one content area who is teaching in another. They're going through the process to become fully licensed in what they're teaching, but that takes time. So they end up being out-of-field placed for a year, sometimes 2, while they go back to school, while they're taking classes in order to get their licensure fully in that other area. So the state requires us to post those for 60 days. So if you check the website, there's only, I think, 7 postings for the high school. Some of those are just there to start the 60 days. So that's a piece of it. But we're always looking for, quality people, and especially our hardest to fill areas are typically math and science, special ed, and rural education. So those are always really tricky ones to find anytime we have them open. So if there's no one listening, or you guys know anyone in those fields, I would love to get their name, and anytime we have an opening, I will definitely reach out to them. So we're always looking for people in those areas. And then the last and final thing, Lancer Spotlight, I wanted to highlight, now that they're all the way through their season, our Ski and Snowboard Club is a group that does a lot of stuff. We have a whole bunch of staff members who are involved in that. Troy Ellis, Adam Rizla, Leah Tanke, Joel Vandenberg, and a few others kind of help out sporadically as well. It's a group that is completely free for students. So they get transportation, they get lift tickets, ski rentals if they don't own skis. They go whenever they can when the weather permits. I would say they probably get out there 5, maybe 6 times every winter. And it's just a great event. For a lot of kids, it's their very first experience ever doing anything like that. They meet some people who they might not necessarily be friends with, and they have a good time. So it's a great club. Again, it's funded completely by donations. It's just kind of a neat thing. Not many schools have something like that. So, but that's it.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Any questions for you? All right. Middle school.
Hi, everyone. How are you tonight? Good. I am going to start just with this is just a time of year that is big for our MCAs. Those started this week for high school, middle school, and elementary. And so lots of time spent staff preparing and doing those lots of details for that. So I want to thank everyone for the staff for all of their support and time with that, as well as the school assessment coordinators sitting on each side of me. Do a lot with that too in troubleshooting, because we only revisit that once a year. So there's glitches with technology on the spot, and it takes a lot of patience. And so Dan Esser has been involved. It's a true team effort to have these take place. So as the district assessment coordinator, want to thank everyone involved with that. We also concluded our mentor-mentee large group sessions last night. Just said, let's just go for it this week. And some of those people are here that were here last night, and we focused on reflection was kind of the theme of the night. So talked about what the process is for reflecting on their individual growth plans, their engagement surveys, and that process that we all as administrators ask of them to do here at the end. I think the quote I shared with them last night is experience. We don't learn from experiences, but we learn from reflecting on our experiences. And so they did a nice job working with each other as well as just mentor-mentee as well. And we had to we flipped the script and had some questions for our mentees to ask their mentors in regard to the growth this year. And I felt like there was a lot of really great conversation. We had a really great group this year. And I made sure that I had a restorative circle again for our last meeting, which has been a part of our meetings each month, each time we've had those large groups. So as we look at the end of the school year, there's lots of reflection going on, but as I told them, educators are some of the most reflective people, because no one wants to get up in front of a group of kindergartners or seniors or 7th graders and not be prepared and learn from what just happened the hour before. So they do a great job, but it's been a great year for them. So as far as the middle school specifically, we have 2 more Breakfast of Champions, one this Friday. Again, let's just all do it this week. And then exciting is our incoming 5th grade. So myself and Ms. Freeman will be going to the 4th grade classrooms this Friday. We met this week just to kind of finalize what that's going to look like. And then next Friday, the fifth graders will be coming here, or the fourth graders will be coming here to do, we do a transition day for them. It's going to be a half day. They'll go through the lunch line and that type of thing to kind of see how that all rolls. And then the family engagement night leads into that other parent meeting. So there's 3 opportunities for us to see these littles before they get here intentionally. So on May 11th, we're going to do our second annual evening with the Lancers. Our student council this year will be hosting individual events out back again. Hopefully it'll be sunshine and no hail and no rain and no thunder and no lightning. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll have that parent meeting. That was intentional as well to get kids here. We'll have a parent meeting right here at 6 for incoming parents and kids who would like to attend. And then finally, also staff recognition. Leslie Pellinger was nominated this last month by Ms. Freeman. And again, when I'm speaking about Leslie, Leslie is our PBIS leader, and she has just done a tremendous job. And she's actually been asked to be a part of a podcast as well as a sustainability day, and will be presenting to other districts in regards to how we were able to revamp honoring the past, but also like how did we get to that exemplary status. So she is doing a lot with that. I often have conflicts during PBIS meetings, so I'll have IEP meetings and she'll come circle back and just run over things with me too, but she's just been a tremendous leader for our whole school and just is really committed to that. So outside of that, she's just a great teacher, great educator, and we're lucky to have her as well. And then we also, as a district, were able to honor Dave Kubicek, as you might have seen in the blast out there, but I can't say enough, and I get choked up, and I've only known him for a few years, and working with him, thinking about that, our last day send-off for our retirees, because he's been a tremendous leader for the staff, a great man for our students and families, and I can say that. So come to the end of the year, I got lots to share about Mr. Kubicek, but he's at that stage where he gets a little sappy, you know, when he's thinking about it too, and I think we all do when you realize the impact. So also, one more quote just to end. It's Jackie Robinson Day. If you didn't know that, my kids are huge baseball guys, and my son posted a quote by Jackie Robinson that says, "A life is not important." I can't. We got so many great educators here, and maybe I'm old and sappy too. But a life is not important except for the impact it has on others' lives. So we just have some great teachers here in our buildings, and just so appreciative for all of them.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Heather. Well done.
Your turn, Mr. Bell.
Okay, tough act to follow. You know, I'm going to actually ask our curriculum committee members to stand to be recognized right now, please. Because we clapped for the presentation, but this is where the work happens. Thank you so much for all your work and an incredible presentation. The truth is, I have IEP meetings too, so I couldn't be at every single meeting, but I 100% support the efforts, and want to thank Mr. Femright. He's not one for all the accolades per se, but his vision really helped galvanize this group. And Sarah, your leadership, thank you for making this happen. We've waited for this. We've waited till letters was done. We've got the knowledge. Now we need the resource, and we're ready. So just really appreciate that that's happening. It gives me such confidence that I'm going to be leaving this elementary school in great hands. So thank you for all the efforts in the committee. Community engagement and family engagement. Our first grade continues to kind of lead the way in this way. They did a breakfast and invited families in. For that, we had an incredible PTO reveal of our book vending machine. Huge thank you to our PTO and the vision, and I believe, Brandon, one of your donations, solicitations was what got us across the finish line. The kids are so excited to have that, and it brightens up our atrium, and it's just created a real buzz about literacy in the school. So that's exciting, and very, very glad to say not a single penny of ISD 300 funds went to that machine, but it's just a really fun thing to have in our atrium. A step into learning. We continue to develop this idea and concept and plan, and I want to recognize members that are with us as well. There's a subcommittee of folks that know exactly what they want out of these days, and they're working through our building leadership team to make it happen. So more communication is going to be forthcoming, but we've got more details that are going to be continuing to communicate out. But July 31st is a big date where a big communication will be coming out to families where they're going to find out exactly what happens, and that gives plenty of time for them to plan on these back-to-school conferences is basically what it will be, along with all the other little things that take a lot of time, like bus safety and fingerprinting, scanning for the lunch line, and school pictures that interrupt the whole first trimester. Let's be honest, it's just a lot. And so a lot of that work will happen in the first 2 days of the student year. So thank you to Wally for your vision and helping us make that a reality too. So there's some links down there if you're interested in knowing what kind of communication is going out to parents and families. There are links there for you. In lieu of pictures, the real stars were here tonight. So thank you again to all the committees that are making our school amazing.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff? Thank you.
And I should say thank you to Carrie Russert. I believe it's 33 years. We're going to celebrate her retirement coming up. And a number of other folks are leaving our staff, and we appreciate their service to our staff. So thank you to everyone who's been here and will continue to be here, as well as those that are leaving us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Community education.
All right. Yeah, the biggest news last month that I believe Julie previewed for you is we very unexpectedly got handed some money from the state, which doesn't often happen. Of course, it's not without a significant amount of effort that needs to happen for us to be able to receive said funding. So huge shout out to Tammy Tessing for helping us set up the framework within Infinite Campus, the student information system that we need to make that happen. That is, not only is it going to generate some funds for the early childhood program, but the state takes these voluntary pre-K seats, and at the end of the fiscal year, they will do what's called a true-up, and they will include these 14 VPK seats in our recalculation of the compensatory revenue for district-wide. So we will see some uptick in funding from that too. So it's hard to get some money at the end of the year and have it be retroactive for the whole year, but we're working through it, and we're just happy we got it. We will not get it next year. Those have already been determined, but if enough people turn in their seats that they're not able to use, that's how the reallocation process works. So we're quite down on the list, but this year we actually got to use some of those leftover seats. So that's exciting. Discovery Preschool registration continues to be open. We've sent out confirmations for next year's enrollment. Karen got those out, I believe, last week. And at this time, we do believe we will be okay within 4 sections. Should that change, we'll be working with Superintendent Genevico and coming back with board updates if we need to do something different there. More preschool news. We've had an awesome response to, anytime you do a survey, you hope for a response, right? Well, so far, and now even today, we now have 29 responses to the survey that we sent out. We asked our parents, how are we doing according to what the district's desired daily experiences are, as was developed through the strategic plan. So that has been really exciting feedback. We're going to be spending some time discussing it and debriefing it on the upcoming Staff Learning Day on May 1st. Summer catalog, oh my gosh, summer is coming. It is very close. The online digital catalog is online. Should be in mailboxes by the end of this week. We have our online registration will open on Friday at 8 a.m. May 1st, and then we're still doing the in-person joint sign-up day with the Aquatic Center programming. And Of note, our friends at the Aquatic Center are taking over Parents Hot Swim and also the water aerobics, because we've lost all of our instructors of past years, and now we've just been hiring their lifeguards. So it's like, okay, well now we're doing summer rec, you take the pool things, and it's all a good plan. So yeah. The last thing I have to say is very sad news for us. You'll see a resignation on here. Katie Wold, our early childhood educator, she's been with us for 10 years. We respect her decision, but we're devastated to see her go. She's been an amazing educator and an amazing addition to our program. So thank you to Katie for all of her years of service to the program.
Any questions for Beth? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
All right. For our activities, spring sports are off to a strong start. Baseball has actually won 2 more games since then, and a nice win last night. Softball is also 4-3, so they were on a pretty hot streak, and then hit a speed bump in Chatfield last night. Track kids are great individual things, and actually our 4x1 won the one that they had last night, so they're really doing good. Our robotics team was ranked 18th at the time of this, and I think I had 27th there, and they finished somewhere in that 18th range up in St. Cloud. We did have a really fun, like Simona had talked about, a really fun spring Pep Fest on Monday that was filled with a ton of games and introductions for our teams. So that was really fun. And then our golf teams are also out and running and doing a great job with that. And the boys golf team, we think, has a chance to go to state as a team. So that's really great. We've done our coach surveys and year-end meetings. I have one more of them to do with one of the winter coaches. We just talked about robotics there, but we do the surveys, and that gives us a lot of information that we are able to pull back and kind of cross-reference to. A lot of it's confirmation on things, but it's able to give them some really good feedback as well. Homecoming is October 3rd, and flag football has started up. We'll have our home event on Sunday the 26th. And Danielle had mentioned it looks like dance is going to be, we're going to try to get dance going with, as a club sport that's going to be run, they'll raise their own money through the Booster Club. So that should, and then the wrestling doesn't really affect anything where we're at right now as it looks like going forward in the near future, because we're pretty much running it. It hasn't been a MSHSL sport on its own. It's been lumped in with the boys and is going to change here. And then I just have the numbers for our school years there of what we had. So we are down in enrollment, so we're down a little bit for the whole school year for our activities. But if you add in, we got I think we ended up with 39 girls playing flag football as a club sport too. So pretty good overall with participation for a school that's not got a gigantic enrollment.
Okay. Any questions for Terry? All right. Thank you, Terry. All right. Wally.
We'll have our principal interviews next Wednesday night, 22nd, at the elementary school. I'll update you as that gets closer. I'll update all the board as that gets closer. It closes at 3 p.m. This Friday, the 17th. We have Google Forms out right now to the elementary staff and the elementary families. And we basically want to hear from them what's important to the staff, what's important to the families. And so we're going to take a lot of time and really sit through those and see, what are our people telling us. The Blue Ribbon Panel update, they are supposed to come back here pretty soon, I believe by June 1st, with their recommendation. Remember, that was a $250 million cut to special education, which is very scary. I wrote to our local legislatures last week and telling them just how scary that was for us. And in fact, if anything, I'd like to see them go the other way and more fully fund special education. Special education is a large cost in our Crescent Local School District. Solar project update, very exciting. We did get the $25,000 grant from Solar Moonshot. So that is extremely exciting. So we're projected now to be able to pay back what money will come out of our funds within 2 years, and then for the life of the roof, we'll be making money. Plus doing what's right by the environment, but since I'm kind of a cheapskate, we're making money. All right, which is good. So that's very exciting. There are things in the works for a kindergarten pilot assessment, but the state's been very gray as far as what exactly it's going to look like, when it's going to get implemented, how much time it's going to take for our kindergarten. But I want to let you know that is in the works as far as the state goes, is kindergarten assessment. And the first year would just be a pilot with certain schools, and then if the state continues in this regard, then it would be for every single school. SERP update. We probably at the May board meeting will be ready for you to do a first reading and then a second reading in June. But Ms. Dotson does a tremendous amount of work with this, and it was basically just telling you that is coming so that you can review that and then look it over during those 2 months. And indoor school mapping, so we had a grant, so did a lot of our area school districts with the indoor school mapping. That is done now, and there's now going to be some tabletop exercises where they walk through scenarios of things that could happen at schools, and then how you would interact with city and county. And but this is a very positive thing. It is basically our police, our city, our county are going to have very updated indoor mappings of all of our schools, and then it'll make it easier for all of us to collaborate. So that is certainly a positive thing. I think I might be double booked, but Patrick's going to go to the tabletop exercise in Caledonia next Friday, and it might be both of us that end up going there. It's good to be working with local districts and local city and county also. So that is my update.
Any questions for Wally? Okay, thank you, Wally. The business manager update is posted for your review. Julie's not here tonight, so we'll skip that one. Education Minnesota.
All right. So, as always, there's a lot of things going on, and I also want to remind everybody that not everything always makes the slideshow. Everybody's busy, so that stuff doesn't always make it in. But for March, as always, we got some wonderful representation from the elementary school. Some great representation from Mr. Kopp as well. Yeah. We worked together to earn an ice cream sundae party for reading 1,000 books in March. Continuing on with reading together is a lot more fun in blanket forts. And what better way to show that than tell your baby brother and mama? Look at that. So, I mean, just all these wonderful activities that the elementary school, and especially just showcasing the beautiful building that they have and how to be able to interact with the kids in such a wonderful space. So for Read Across America Week, they had a ton of things going on. I actually was fortunate enough to be able to float around the building a couple of times during the preparations for this, and it was pretty astounding to see the things that teachers are working on. First grade is starting their career unit, and we had volunteers come in to share what their jobs are like. So again, another opportunity for the community to get into the building and the kids to be able to see some of the things that they can do in the future. They enjoyed Spring Into Stories event with families during breakfast. They enjoyed reading and a soft start to the morning with their families. Second grade, they did 3D maps using food items. Preschool had some buddy time, celebrating World Down Syndrome Day by designing favorite socks, and then displayed them in the hallway, and then Forts and Flashlight Day. Third grade, making a mosaic mask for the Mayans during ancient civilization studies. Celebrating World Down Syndrome Day there as well with some of those crazy socks. Kindergarten book buddies, and then bringing books to life, storybook characters. So they got to dress up and bring some of those characters from their favorite books to life. Fourth grade had junior achievement. Students learned all about financial literacy. That's something I need to work on. Work readiness and entrepreneurship. So thank you to all those volunteers for that. And then fourth grade had some bringing books to life events as well. With all the different costumes, obviously you can kind of infer what some of the books might have been based on the costumes we got there. So, art had that the neon glow art show. I know that Mr. Kopp kind of highlighted some of that too last meeting as well. But yeah, cool stuff going on there. And there's some shots from that. The library had Landsmart rewards and some more book character dress up. Music had gotten to go to Viterbo for a Symphony for the Youth concert and music cup games. Student of the month for each of the grade levels there. And then staff of the month there with all of her class. 8th grade, Larry Pup sharing his experience in Russia while working with the USAID in 93, 95. Got to come talk about all that. 8th graders taught the 6th graders about their traditional African board games they made. There's actually, if you walk to the middle school, there's a lot of cool stuff in the middle school from that, as well as running on the TVs in there too. There's some more shots from that. April theme was leadership. So, yeah. For 6th grade, yeah. And then these are just some updates from the office there. More updates on Step into Learning. I know we covered a lot of that. And that's all that. Cool. That's all from me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? All right. Informational items, budget update, and balance sheet are posted for everyone's review. Since Julie's not here, people like to see the enrollment. I know. Can you pull up the enrollment?
What's kindergarten looking like for next year? My daughter will be attending. I don't have any other numbers for you at this meeting. I've prognosticated and failed in the past, so I'm not gonna. We're planning on 3 sections. Gonna fill them up.
All right.
I will double check that for you.
All right. And if you can pull up student behavior quick, I'm sorry for the quick scrolling there. Just some principals. Any comments on this?
Very small behaviors.
Very small behaviors. Okay. Jacob, you're chuckling. Why are you chuckling, Jacob?
Because he teaches at the elementary.
All right. Posted for our review.
The numbers are.
Hectic in high school.
Yeah. That's why Jacob's quiet.
As predicted.
That's right.
To be fair, March is a little larger than February, so anyway. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion to approve consent agenda by Eric and seconded by Darcy. Do we have any donations? No donations. Okay. Do we have any other discussion? Well then, hearing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes for the consent agenda. And now we will go to the action items where we've had the presentation already, and Wally will just kind of close it down for us here.
So, Mr. Fimwright, our literacy lead, and Mr. Kopp have been keeping me in the loop since this process started all the way back in November when they were really started to look at 3 different programs, and it ended up getting down to 2 programs, and then ultimately the committee's recommendation was CKLA. So as things were going, I wanted to do my due diligence and look at different districts who had also gone through this within the last couple of years and see what did they find? Was there anything strikingly different? Actually found a couple districts in our area that had chosen CKLA, and then was able to talk to their curriculum directors and ask about, did they have any bumps? Was there anything that was not, did not come to fruition that was promised or that it looked like was going to happen? And I got the answers that I needed there in talking to those districts. I think the last two that the committee came down to certainly would have fit as far as standards, but I'm here to tell you tonight, after doing my due diligence and calling around, that I'm in agreement with the committee. I do believe that CKLA at this point is the best choice for the program and for the instructional materials. So Mr. Kopp and Mr. Fimwright then reached out to I asked them, all right, give me an initial quote. And the quote came in, it was larger than I wanted. So we had a Google Meet, the four of us had a Google Meet. I told them my concerns. I told them what was more fitting in line with our budget and what we needed. We've had a little bit of back and forth. Mr. Fimwright called our representative a couple different times, and the last quote that they came up with was one that I found satisfactory. It's a little under $56,000. I've been working with Ms. Grant for almost the entire year and talking about how this is something that we need to invest in, and so she's had plans for how we're going to pay for it. She thinks that this is a reasonable number for our budget. She thinks this is a reasonable number for our size of the district. Obviously, they're a company, so they're going to try to sell you everything they got. But that's okay. That's their business. But we are at a point now with what they've quoted that I feel good. So I am making a formal recommendation and asking for your approval that we move forward with signing a contract with CKLA and Amplify for approximately $56,000 for a 6-year commitment to this program and curriculum and instructional materials.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are any of what we have been using, are those like expiring, or are we taking out anything? I mean, I'm just curious.
So I think everything that we have purchased with previous that we own, like anything hard that we own that we could use as supplemental materials, we are not disallowed to use. But you know, I would be very clear to the whole elementary staff that you know we all had our favorites. I had my favorite stuff when I was teaching, as Ms. Cody said many years ago. But what? That was a joke. But favorites aside, if we want to use some things as supplementary, that's fine. But the expectation is that we have done our due diligence, that we want the correct transition and the scaffolding, and it'll be the expectation of all of our elementary staff that they are using this as their primary instructional materials.
But are we still paying for other supplements?
I'm sorry.
I think that was the question.
I apologize.
For any other
we are not paying for that. In fact, there'll be a little bit of a cost savings. The teachers have had to, I would say even since COVID, the elementary teachers have had to do a lot of work on their own. They have gone out and teachers pay teachers, and they've done their own research, and they've done whatever they thought they could do, which right by kids. And they've also asked for purchases of apps that they believed would be helpful for them with their ELA. So with this now, that'll bring down our need for those apps, so there'll actually be a little bit of cost savings with that because the apps that we've been purchasing, which have been quite expensive, are we will not have the need for that. I miss.
Nope, you're good. I was gonna re-ask you when you're done. That's fine.
I'm sorry about that.
Darcy speaks Danny, so.
I just had another question. We're doing K through 4.
Yes.
Did you know they had it in pre-K?
It also says K through 5 on the website. I was wondering if we are actually purchasing the K through 5?
We are not purchasing pre-K and we are not purchasing 5. This quote was for the K through 4 continuum.
And Paige, to answer your pre-K part, it's not approved by the state of Minnesota for what we are allowed to implement.
Okay.
So we have
I
a
was just
small
doing a little
number of things
research.
to use.
It had.
Thank you for asking the question.
Yeah, maybe in the
Appreciate it.
future.
So, for example, in this initial purchase, if you approve it, they'll be getting teacher licenses, student licenses, but then they'll have we're a 3-section school, so there'll be 3 full sets of instructional materials that theoretically should last the entire 6 years for that. So those will be tactile, that'll be used in the classrooms, and then we'll get consumables for the first year, and then I'll be talking to the elementary about best practices now with the consumables and what you think are the most important. What the company would like you to do is they would like you to purchase consumables then every single year, and that would be approximately $8,600 a year more after this, which I declined because if you think about that, I'm asking you to approve $56,000. If you go 8,500 times another 5 years, now you're in the $40-some thousand extra. So the teachers will keep their licenses, and we will be allowed to then copy, because kids of course need stuff in their hands, but we'll have the right to be able to make copies of whatever the teachers feel essential as far as those types of materials. So.
And when you say consumables,
Yep.
it's something that, like, they put on the class list, A through H bring this and whatever. Is that something that could be done, or are we just talking?
It could, but we'll probably take the cost out of all of those. It's just this first year, it's kind of, the way I think about it in my head and the way I explain it to somebody is if you go to a restaurant right now, places are not making a lot of money off the entrees. Entrees a lot of times are actually fairly affordable. Where restaurants make their money is they make their money off the drinks, the desserts, and the appetizers. Okay? Well, where do companies make a ton of their money in programs like this? They're trying to sell you all the peripheral, and they're trying to sell you all the consumables. So we don't want to shortchange the teachers, but we also want to be good fiscal managers of our taxpayers' money. And the contract that we have on the table right now in the quote with them, I feel very comfortable that they are going to get quality program, quality instructional materials, and yet it's within the budget that we can afford.
One last question.
Yes.
You said the first quote that you got was much higher.
Yes.
You went back to them. They
Yep.
got you a smaller quote.
Yes.
Is there things that they took away for that smaller quote that our teachers want?
No. So some of them would tell you, yeah, I want the consumables every year, but they're just advocating for what they want. But no, the 64,000 down to the 55,000, or about 56,000 was actually more of a negotiations process than it was a loss of materials. And for example, the PD, in the initial PD, it was 2 sessions of a full day, and then it was 2 sessions of a half day of virtual PD, and then they had packed it full of also, we want you to pay for this many hours for coaching throughout the year. Okay, well, we kept the full day of PD. I'm going to talk for myself right now. kept the full day of PD, thought that that was essential. And the teachers had asked for June 17th, that's the date that they came up with, where there would be 2 trainers that would come into the district and do a full day of PD with all of our elementary staff. We also have, I believe it was important that we have some reinforcement, so I kept in the package a half day of virtual training with our entire staff. That would probably be about halfway through the year. But then I asked to cut the additional coaching hours, and again, that was a fiscal decision, again, to get to where we could afford it without harming what was necessary for the teachers and their implementation. So nothing was, nothing else was like cut down or taken out that the teachers are going to go, well, wait a second, I thought we were getting this. You know, there'll be no surprises like that.
I have a strange question. How does this curriculum kind of interface with the 5 through 8 ELA curriculum so that the transition isn't like drastic? Like,
okay, so I cannot answer that right at this meeting, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Ms. Fitzloff, if you don't know that I could come back and give them the answers to that. But
what I can say is all of the curriculum is aligned to the state standards. So
what I can say is that in oversight, they're working and talking and planning to vertically align every area. So where there are gaps right now, within the next 3 years, those will for surely be filled in once we get this new program and figure it out. And
I guess it's more just a question of like, will it be shocking to a new 5th grader?
It'll look different. I don't know if shocking is maybe the word I would use, because lots of things are shocking about 5th grade. But as they move through middle school, things look different and are presented differently. So, but I thank you, Darcy, for mentioning that, because that is going to be a huge part. I think that's been missing for a long time, and our staffs have all said that we need this the curriculum alignment and vertical alignment. So that's, we are in with ELA, our ELA curriculum. Unfortunately, we did not have the same process, we got our materials late, so we're still kind of working through it. But we have plans, and I think that's the key point. What are the main standards that we're going to, throughout the grade levels, and vertical alignment is going to be very important, which is what Oversight is putting together this year. And hopefully we'll have a plan to lay out fairly soon to staff about what next year's PD is going to look like to do just that. But it might look different.
Because it is, I think we've mentioned it before, I don't think anybody's really surprised. We haven't like officially rolled it out to our staff yet, but a lot of our PD days are going to be talking to each other and making sure when a child is progressing through the Crescent Hoka School District that they are getting the necessary standards to be successful moving forward. That'll be a big hunk of our PD moving forward for at least 2 years, and I think Ms. Cody's right. It could be 3 years, because you don't want to rush this. This is a big deal.
So it was cheaper because we didn't choose the 5th grade option that they offer?
5th grade was never looked at in this entire process.
Because that's part of ours.
Okay. Yep.
That we've already purchased.
It was always from the time that this committee started back November. They were looking at K4. Okay.
Any more questions for Wally?
I would like to make a motion.
I'd like to hear it.
I move to approve the CKLA instructional materials.
For $56,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
I second.
Okay, it was motion by Darcy and seconded by Paige. Is there any discussion on the CKLA Amplify $56,000 purchase of the curriculum?
I have a discussion question. So how are you going to pay for it?
We're going to take 27,000 out of FY26 and 29,000 out of FY27. So we're going to split it over the two fiscal years to be able to pay for it. And that'll allow us then to, that'll allow us to get these materials in as early as we can then too, so that otherwise they probably wouldn't have given us anything until after July 1 if we would have pushed everything to FY 27. So 27 and 29 is the number I worked with Julie on.
Okay. So, any other discussion? We'll proceed to vote on the motion for the CKLA. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is unanimous. It passes.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn by Darcy. Is there a second? Eric seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no one ever does. Adjourn. Wow. I do have the big camera. That's going to be my last camera.
Exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Great day.
Bye, Terry.
So how locked in are we on, June 17th?
Field trip that happened that day.
Today, she told me today how she's being, because we